congratulations on the film. You were absolutely beautiful in it. I loved it, so I can't wait to dive in. Camilla, oh my goodness, she's such a bright light. She has such an admirable sense of self. Um, I fell in love with her, and I'd love to know, like when did you fall in love with her on the page, and then what did you discover about her during filming that just like sealed the deal?
I think, well, instantly there was something about like, how how her limits were so clear, how her boundaries were so set that I felt so attracted towards, and I think I admired of her so instantly. Um, I spoke to Kelly quite like literally a day after getting the script and our director and getting to hear his perspective on the character as well and how fully fledged of a human she was, and it wasn't as auxiliary as a lot of the times these characters might tend to be. And I think for me as a woman in this industry, it's important to take characters that don't feel that way. So getting to already perceive that on the page was really, really important for me. And then getting to play on the day with both Kelly and KJ was just incredibly fulfilling as an actor. I think I found so many different ways of portraying her womanhood and her motherhood while still maintaining, I think, her innocence, which was also a very important thing that can be taken away from people in the position that she was put in. And I think that was fun to also balance.
Yeah, oh, that's beautifully said. I mean, I could see all of that. And I think that's why yeah, she was such a refreshing character. And in the past, I think in this environment, like we would see her as more of a side character, but she was so front and center. And like you said, so fledged out and meaty. And it's so true. Like she had a beautiful, optimistic viewpoint, even though, life has gotten her down, but it was just like, yeah, it was just so lovely. It was like I said, very refreshing. I think she's also this wonderful example of strength and vulnerability, which
Mhm.
is so crucial. I just think in like for every character, I love to see it on screen, but especially in this film where Wes is, in an environment.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean it's an environment where toxic masculinity, can take over, can be super overwhelming. Would
yeah.
you like to expand on that and like the importance of strength and vulnerability, not only like in her life, but in her relationship with him?
Most definitely. I think for me, that was kind of the most important thing that she could help Wes with. There's a lot, as you said, um, there's a lot in this movie that is centered around masculinity and how the toxicity of it can so many times stunt emotional growth. And I think for her, she's so clearly grounded on what it is that makes her a good human and a good mom, which is her ability to feel, and her ability to empathize. And I think from there, she connects with this person who she can very clearly tell he's wonderful and he has all of that to give, but he's simply just too scared to go there, and is eager and willing to help him get there. Because a lot of times we don't have to be teaching nobody nothing. But if we love them and we're willing to, it's beautiful when you do it. And I think that's kind of where she is coming from, and she understands that. And that's also a huge testament to how Kelly wrote her. And I really enjoyed to get to play with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think too, like she's really also breaking generational traumas. Um, and you have a wonderful line when she's describing her relationship with her father. The anger and the resentment used to drive me insane, and then one day I forgave him, and I finally felt free. I have chills thinking about that because how relatable, and powerful. Um, talk to me about sort of how that power of forgiveness does break generational traumas in her own life, but also creates this like she's so essential. It creates this ripple effect that
Hmm.
we see just change the whole trajectory of the film as well.
Absolutely, that's beautifully said. I thank you for having me put that into words. I I think a lot of the times, whenever we're so caught up within our own worlds, whenever anybody else puts that into evidence and brings it out to you and kind of personally just tells you the story that says the things you needed to hear, might really just cause a domino effect and unwrap this whole world of unspoken truths. And I think that's kind of what happens in the movie. That with resentment, there's so much denial. And there's so much that is lost that could have been learned. And with her, I think motherhood has made her prioritize different things and put her energy into the things that she knows will better her and will better the life of her kid. And so there's no room for resentment. There's no room for anything else other than making this kid feel loved and making this kid feel protected. So I think because of how clearly she sees that, she's able to communicate it to others, and therefore they can maybe project their own things onto that and understand that lesson that she might have learned a couple years ago, but understand it a little later, but
Right.
still understand it and learn from it.
Right. It's all about growth. I think it's so wonderful when we see kind of characters on screen just like saying the things that might be trapped inside and just like giving voice to them to like kind of it's not necessarily like things are tied up in a bow, but to know that these journeys are heading in sort of a direction of toward healing and that it's
Mm,
going to be a constant like growth like these characters obviously will continue to grow with each other and learn lessons from each other but like that's the whole point right like it never ends
and
I also
that's why we tell stories.
exactly um I also think that it was really wonderful to see kind of this space be created on screen where like you don't necessarily have to choose between your passions and your loved ones and how it is really messy and like we do make these choices but we're there for each other to like lean on when making them
Absolutely.
and like how I was just like what a beautiful universal like lesson to take away no matter what we do in our lives. You know, I'm sure you've come to crossroads in your own life and, you know, personally and professionally and just talk to me a little bit about I know I have to go. I could talk to you forever, but about sort of the importance of like seeing that represented.
Oh, I think it's crucial. I think there's a lot of live to work mentality a lot of the times and obsessing over goals and obsessing over so many things that sometimes can really make you fall into the trap of you got to choose one or the other. So getting to tell stories that allow for a different path to be shown, and it's something we've heard before, but it's always lovely to be reminded. So I think even for myself, like yes, I have to give up a lot to do what I do, and a lot of us do, and most of us do. But that doesn't mean that I'm also giving up on myself and my ability to love the people that I love and be loved by the people that love me. And I think reminding people of that is always wonderful. And at the end of the day, we tell stories to make people feel something. And I think that definitely hits the nail on the head.
Yeah.
So hopefully it can make people feel that way.
I think
Anything.
it will. I think it will. And so soon. So congratulations. I can't wait for the rest of
And,
to see your beautiful performance. And it was wonderful talking to you. Thanks for your time.
oh, you're wonderful. Have a great day.